Hi guys. That was fast. We're gonna get started. I'll give people 10 seconds to settle. Thank you for coming to celebrate St. Patrick's Day at the Poetry Project. Hi everyone, I'm Kay Gabriel. I work here at the project. Thank you for coming to see Megan Milks and Robert Glück read here tonight. So exciting. I've been quivering with excitement about this for weeks now. So now you get to quiver, we all get to quiver together. Some housekeeping before we get started. There are restrooms upstairs. There's an accessible restroom through the sanctuary. If you need to use that, just find a staff member or a volunteer. One of us can sort of help you with that. If you would like to, there are books for sale, both Bob's and Megan's books. And please also pick up a copy of the newsletter if you don't have one. It's free. It's very exciting. I think, and next week, we are going to be, on Wednesday, we're going to be celebrating Gerard Malanga's 80th birthday. That's on Wednesday. And on Friday, that does deserve a round of applause for Gerard. And on Friday, we're going to be hosting Rachel James and Aristide Kirby. So please come back for either or both of those. Tonight, we're going to go straight through without an intermission, though if you need to use the facilities, please just do that. First, Megan is going to read. I'm going to introduce Megan. Megan is going to read. Shiv is going to introduce. Shiv Kotecha is going to introduce Bob. Bob is going to read. So I think let's get started. Here is a story I tell a lot, and Megan, I hope you'll forgive me for telling it again. Megan and I met not at a reading or conference or other cultural event. We met in line getting our medication from one of the big gay health clinics downtown. While I waited for the pharmacist to hand me my Truvada, I read Dodie Bellamy's The Letters of Mina Harker. It was 2017, and I was reading Dodie for the first time in spasms of amazement. I didn't know you could get away with that. And Megan, sitting next to me, a stranger at the time, engaged me in conversation to say that Mina Harker, then out of print, was one of their favorite books, and what did I think about it? And I probably said, I'm amazed. Bonding over a well-kept secret is an auspicious way to meet another freak. And there's something almost too fitting about bonding over Dodie in particular, who writes with such vigor about the body as a social relation rather than an empirical fact, while getting your transsexual drugs. As a shortcut, I am including Truvada here as a transsexual drug. And Megan aligns deliciously with Bellamy's work, and likely even more with Kathy Acker's, but not just in the spirit of continuing a good thing. Like a nimble and adaptive organism, Megan's work learns from past experiments to dare great new ones. The titular slug of Megan's Slug and Other Stories commits its protagonist, whose fantasies lap her real encounters, to being the equal of her own desire. First, he turns her into a slug herself, and then as 6 feet of pure muscle, she repossesses his cock. Disgust is so attractive, it's hard to read Megan Milks without squirming continuously. Is it hot? It's definitely effective. Who cares if what you're squirting is cum or another less dignified bile? In Megan's writing, the social relation of the body is subject to great and disastrous experimentation, and in the lab reports, they discover shocking facts about girls, games, and sadism. In their short story, Kill Marguerite, Megan rewrites the horror of banally normal adolescent life as a video game that can only be beaten through obdurate repetition, and maybe not even then. Do we ever graduate from high school? Unfortunately, yes. Megan's work, in a sense, fixates on adolescence as a repetition compulsion. If we could repeat it without consequences, life would likely be as easy as the last 5 minutes of 10 Things I Hate About You. But there are consequences, mortality, and therefore the repetition is sadistic. Megan Milks is as cunning about genre as they are a sadist of the sentence. Their novel, Margaret or the Mystery of the Missing Body, repeats genres, the coming-of-age novel, the YA novel, the adolescent detective series, and detonates them. Quote, I met you at the Briarwood Center for the Empowerment of Young Women and Girls. That's code for we all had eating disorders. It was the 90s. Girl power was everywhere, so we developed our powers. We were going to take over the world. And then, and who wants to talk about eating disorders? I do sometimes. Arguably, one thesis of Megan's work, and in this I think it aligns with Robert Gluck's Boombox, is that it's the world that's sick, but you're the one stuck experiencing the symptom. Thank God you have Megan Milks around, an exorcist of adolescence, a walking study in demonology, but even better than that, to attend to your troubles. Please join me in welcoming Megan Milks to the Poetry Project.
Thank you so much, Kay. That was extraordinary. I'm really honored and just very moved by that. It's really wonderful to be here. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor particularly to be here with Bob, whose work has influenced me and so many of us so much. I'm going to read 3 different things. I'm going to start with a short excerpt from Margaret and the Mystery of the Missing Body. Let's see, which is a coming-of-age novel where the novel shifts genre and mode and style to sort of come of age with the protagonist. So I'll read just the first page and a half and then flip to a little bit further in. So we meet Margaret in high school. Adolescence. We all go through it, some of us again and again. It's a transitional space, a waiting room. This long, shapeless stretch between youth and adulthood, naivete and knowledge. It's the private heat within which our goop becomes what it wants to become. It's the mystery of the banana, the magic converting its peel from pale green to a brash and confident yellow. It's the burrow of dirt into which the earthworm worms to improve itself in secret. It's the passage from this into that, from here to there, to some kind of passing maturity. Adolescence is the hallway, the between, the almost, the not there yet. Margaret is spending hers driving. Every morning she guides her LeSabre down the long pebbled driveway of her home, then left past the massive clay edifice that is Shady Bluff's namesake, or so she has supposed since childhood. It is, rather, a pile of dull dirt. Another left and another, out through the snaking back roads of South Chesterfield, Virginia, past the flicker of tobacco fields and forest, 2 winding rights and a hard left to go north, up a frightful hill and all the way down to its bottom, to park in the muddy overflow lot allocated to lowly juniors like her. Then again, hours later, from that same parking lot to the way out field where her science group counts insects in weekly grids, and back to school to drop off Davina and Richie, or once a week, heading north on the parkway and through the tolls to the difficult one-way streets of Richmond for symphonic band. And always back to Shady Bluff. Or not yet. More and more she drives past the entrance and keeps driving. If it is always inevitable, she might as well delay getting home. From here to there and home, always home to Shady Bluff, where she has lived for most of her life and keeps living, while around her the neighborhood changes, grows, develops. There's a new, uglier entrance sign now and a major expansion just down the street from her house. What with a steady stream of trucks and plows and porta potties, not to mention prospective buyers cruising slowly, too slowly, only to stop in the middle of the pavement, Margaret has been feeling like a castaway prop in someone else's future. The disconnect unsettles her. Not long ago, she would have been thrilled at the prospect of a new wing, imagining what the construction might dig up, time capsules and ghosts. If they were lucky, some skeletal remains. Then would come new homes, which would mean new clients, new cases, which would mean more Girls Can Solve Anything business. But Girls Can Solve Anything is dead. That's the problem. So Girls Can Solve Anything is the detective club that Margaret ran in middle school. So there are 2 mini mysteries that pay homage to the Babysitters Club, Nancy Drew, Goosebumps, and I'll read just a little bit from one of them, the first one, which is called, where did it go? I should know this by heart. Girls Can Solve Anything, number 4, The Case of the Stolen Specimens. I hereby call this meeting of Girls Can Solve Anything to order. I wrapped the edge of Gretchen's magnifying glass on Angie's desk with ceremony, silencing my friends' excited chatter. The energy was vibrant that day. 7th grade promised to be a good year. No more 6th grade cluelessness. In this middle year of middle school, we knew the ropes well enough without needing to know everything. We were comfortable, and we had an exciting lead on an active case. So to catch you up, the case here is that 8 butterflies and 4 cocoons have gone missing, presumed stolen, from the Philip Morris Conservatory at the Chesterfield County Botanical Gardens. The stolen specimens represented 4 rare species: the great purple hairstreak, the red-bordered pixie, the question mark, and the giant blue morpho. And their primary suspect in this case is their 6th grade biology teacher, Mrs. Stillwater. I won't tell you how they deduced this, but so they've already staked out her greenhouse, and now they're about to confront her. Night had settled. It was time. We skulked toward her house and into the backyard, keeping to the grass to avert the alerting crunch of driveway gravel. The greenhouse door was closed, but the light was on. I peeked through the foggy plastic and caught no movement. No hulking Mrs. Stillwater-like shapes. Nothing. Angie jiggled the doorknob. Locked. I cupped my ear against the wall and heard faint music. Classical. She's in there, I whispered. Angie removed the 2 bobby pins she kept tucked under her ponytail at all times. She had learned to pick locks after spending a few weekends at her dad's new home. A buggy old farmhouse with doors that seemed to lock of their own accord. At first, we thought it was the wind, but our investigation revealed the house to be haunted by the ghost of a forgotten farm wife who was attempting to herd Angie to secret passages leading to her skeleton. See GCSA number 3, Angie's Bug Secret. That's where all the bugs were coming from, not the skeleton, the secret passages. Angie hates bugs. While Angie worried the lock, I held my ear to the door and listened for sounds of movement. Nothing. A faint ripple of diabolical laughter. And we were in. A giant butterfly floated toward us, big as my head. The great purple hairstreak, I said softly. I counted 24 butterflies drifting from flower to flower, several times more than had been reported stolen. Ew, Angie breathed. I can't do this. You can, I urged, surprised to learn that her bug phobia extended to butterflies, arguably the least buggy of bugs. Girls can do anything. Angie gritted her teeth and gave a determined jerk of the head. We heard a malicious snort from below us. You're mine, you pathetic grub. Mine! There it was, the trap door, open. Just taking photos, I whispered. Oh, sorry, start taking photos, I whispered. We'll need evidence. Gina pulled out her disposable camera and went to work. I approached the trapdoor, motioning for Angie and Gretchen to follow. We descended into what appeared to be a sophisticated and well-funded lab. On one counter, I observed a shiny, imposing microscope next to a whirring centrifuge, syringes and bloody scalpels, caterpillars pinned to trays, an aquarium that seemed to be some sort of incubator for giant pupating cocoons. And there she was, Mrs. Stillwater, humming on a stool with her back to us. With one hand, she wrestled an enormous butterfly. With the other, she brandished a fat syringe that she attempted to plunge into its thorax. Mrs. Adrian Stillwater, I shouted. She shrieked and let go of the insect, which flapped toward us, its abdomen grotesquely furry. A wing brushed Angie's face. She screamed and raced up the steps, leaving Gretchen and me alone to confront the treacherous teacher. We know what you're up to, Gretchen accused, and we know why, I added. You're combining human and butterfly DNA to develop your own metamorphic technology. You want to change your whole body. Very impressive, girls, Mrs. Stillwater said, standing up. Her tongue slipped out, long and thin and black. No longer a tongue, but a proboscis, I realized, shuddering. Her experiment was well underway. Her neck and upper arms had taken on a husk-like texture, and her eyes had traveled toward her cheeks, where they bulged out alarmingly. Why do you want a new body, Mrs. Stillwater? I demanded. Well, Margaret, she slumped on her stool and looked me over critically. Wouldn't you? I reddened. I suspected she was calling me fat. Answer the question. She sloped her thick body toward me, expressing a smell like decaying lettuce. Antenna nubs wiggled on her forehead. Here's a better one, she responded. What's wrong with using science to get one? I'll stop that there. It's amazing oh, thank you. What I wrote, the very, kernel for that story, I had no idea what transness was, but you can feel the transgender anxiety coming through. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to read is from a chapbook called The Feels that came out in 2016. I think of it as a B-side for Slug and Other Stories. It just didn't quite make it into this book, but it's definitely like part of that world and time. So this is called I Don't Want to Need You. And it's using a strategy I call feel extractions, where I took like phrases where the word feel shows up in fan fiction and pulled them out to create a series of poems. So this is feel extractions from a Harry Lewis One Direction fan fiction by a writer named To the Moon, My Dear, who goes by To the Moon, My Dear. And opens with tags, as these things do. I don't want to need you. Tags. Love, falling in love. Alternate universe, modern setting. Alternate universe, college, university. Love at first sight. Pre-canon, age difference, underage, awkward. Oh, awkward sexual situations. Bromance, epic bromance, drama, intrigue, explicit sexual content, unresolved sexual tension, homophobia, slowish build, feelings, friends to feelings, some feelings, supernatural feelings, realistic relationship progression, holding hands, flirting, those aren't real tags, heartache, heartbreak, promises, goodbyes, angst and humor, PTSD, past rape/non-con, love, betrayal, war, humor, attempt at humor, established relationship, plot what plot, non-canon, time travel, curses, dragons, non-consensual touching, unwelcome feels, wolves, skin changers, demigods, graphic depictions of violence, dark love, dark feelings, gratuitous Taylor Swift lyrics, oral sex, food, friendship, identity issues, loss of identity, alternate universe, gender changes, revelations, hope, how does one feel, threats, politics, possessive behavior. I'm sorry, not sorry. My first work in this fandom. First work ever. Dirty coward. Do you feel me? Does this remind you of anything? My God, what have I done? The feeling room feels lonely. Relax when I feel. The pain that I feel. My legs, 'cause I feel. Past the tears, but I feel. I am the one who feels. Feel the crushing. I definitely feel like part of me is missing. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel bad for, good, I'm feeling good. Feel like total crap. This feels normal. Feel like nothing. His breath is hot on my t-shirt and I can no longer feel. Feel like I sucked at making him feel. Make him feel better, feel needed. He doesn't feel the feel. Make him feel good, it helps him feel better. He can't feel and I feel. I instantly feel, almost instantly I feel. I hold him, I feel. Feel reassured. Feel good and then feel like I'm going to vomit. Why does it feel like all the feelings? I can feel his touchy-feely. He made me feel the feeling. Have you told him how you're feeling? Feel like I can't even talk. Hard for him to feel how you feel. Feel like I'm going to cry. He can't feel, can't feel, can't feel. I can feel my own dick. It feels, fucking feel. I talk to him about my feelings, every shitty feeling, every negative feeling. My smiles don't feel. Feel his vocal cords vibrate. Makes me feel so. He can make me feel so. I can't feel anything, but it is intense. I can feel his almost feel, how weird it must feel a wetness. All at once I feel, sweat between us should feel, turn me on, I can feel. Didn't feel like I feel, you maybe have feelings. Say feeling, he feels, I hate this, I feel, stop feeling. Relaxed and feeling better, tells me how he's feeling, and how were you feeling? My collarbone has been feeling. Feel his arms around me and his lips blowing little puffs of air against my skin. I feel like I feel because feelings, our feelings can feel. I love the feeling I feel. I always feel, I feel all the time. I have never felt better in my life. Okay, that's that. And thank you. Okay, and the last piece I'll read is a new essay. This is something I'm writing for a book I'm working on. The book is called Mega Milk. The subtitle is About My Name and Family and Fluidity and Whiteness in Cows. This is called Muscle Milk. I was kidding about the protein shakes, I tell V as we mount the steps exiting the station. Earlier I said I would have some on hand for the circuit training scene we have planned. V confesses disappointment, so we stop at the corner store to see what they have. The options: vegan smoothies in bottles and cans, Nesquik chocolate milk, and muscle milk. You should write about muscle milk for your project, V suggests. Referring to the book about milk I keep saying I'm writing. I totally should. I consider purchasing a bottle, but I'm full from our meal. V selects a plant-based chocolate milk stuffed with protein. We head to my place to feed my cat, then to Elle's upstairs. She's gone for the week and said I could have a date over if I want. I want the privacy and the sectional. The ottoman will convert to a weight bench. This summer I'm taking Dodie Bellamy's workshop, and our weekly assignment is this: write against progress. As I brainstorm ways to respond, I'm reminded of a quote from Shunryu Suzuki. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. I encountered this in Alison Bechdel's book on exercise and clung on. In writing, in intimacy, and in exercise, it seems I am always beginning, and I have trouble balancing all three. I've been viewing this as a problem, but maybe it could be something else, like personal wisdom. This week I've written little, having funneled my creative energy into this scene, which I've fed with some time at the gym. I've fantasized and I've prepared. Earlier I brought up my yoga mat and ab roller, one heavy dumbbell, toys and towels, a change of sheets. My outfit, a cropped sleeveless hoodie and bike shorts under running shorts with a harness in between. We talk it over, we execute. It's fun and very hot. We're the only two guys in the gym. We complete 2-minute rounds at the stations we've created, ramping things up as we go, erotically speaking. Wall sits, sit-ups, tricep dips, bench press, some cool-down yoga, finishing with shoulder stand. Perhaps this setup was overly elaborate, I'm reflecting now. For all the planning we did for each station, we ought to have repeated the circuit. Did we heat things up too early, drop a cock out too soon? I did that. That was me. Though at the time I was too exuberantly present to worry about my performance, I'm assessing it now with a critical eye. I broke character, laughed a lot. I couldn't decide if my character was straight or gay. I didn't have a character beyond repetitions of dude and man, so I guess I played it straight. V played way gay in bright tiny shorts and strappy singlet with day-glow cuffs. I should have bought the muscle milk to incorporate it as prop for character. Then as a plus, I would have all these plant-based milk proteins speeding through my bloodstream to find and support my muscles. I would have gym buddies on both the outside and the inside. Muscle milk makes me think of the well-known Got Milk campaign, created for the California Milk Processor Board in 1993. In the original ad, titled Aaron Burr, the protagonist is unable to vocalize the answer, Aaron Burr, to a radio trivia game because he doesn't have the milk he needs to wash down the peanut butter he's eaten. The ad, which has since been inducted into advertising's prestigious Clio Hall of Fame, was directed by Michael Bay, who, before becoming known for blockbusters like Transformers, would go on to direct the video for Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love, as well as a Meatloaf documentary. As a kid in Central Virginia, I regularly ate meatloaf with milk, which we drank daily. In 11th grade, I repurposed the Got Milk campaign to run for office in the National Junior Council League. At the annual convention, my speech was terrible, but my posters were fine. At first, I considered the tagline, Megan Milks, she does the NJCL body good. You can see why I went with Got Milks instead. I didn't win. Usually milk comes from the thing it's named after. Oat milk comes from oats, soy milk from soy. Muscle milk does not come from muscles. What kind of milk would that be? Sweat? No, that's unscientific. True muscle milk would involve adenosine triphosphate and lactic acid. Yum. Of course, muscle milk is milk for, not from, your muscles. It's liquid protein, 25 grams. Got muscles? There are more than 600 in the human body, and their strength can be measured in various ways. By weight, the strongest would be the masseter, located in the jaw and used primarily to chew. The masseter can close the teeth with a force as great as 200 pounds on the molars, much more than I can lift with my arms. Then there's endurance. Our most tireless muscles are the tongue and the heart. The heart pumps blood every beat. The tongue is used in mastication, vocalization, and the constant shoveling of saliva down the throat. V and I use these and many more muscles in our circuit training scene. Though our scene was by any measure a success, I have a compulsion to revise it, do it better, get it right. On Sunday and Monday, I'm having hard gay T for T sex. Now it's Wednesday, and I'm on the train to Richmond, Virginia for a week-long visit with my family, which will launch with a trip to Chincoteague. V requests a video of me getting off in public. I reply, this may take me a few days, imagining myself improbably hiding out in the forests and marshes of Virginia. 2 hours later, I'm in the Amtrak bathroom. Is this public enough? Assignment complete. I request a video of them in turn. And I've arrived. At home, my parents have a Got Milk bumper sticker affixed to the door into the house from the garage. I had hoped this one-week trip, unusually long for me, would give my family, my parents and younger brother and I, at least, an opportunity to really connect, to grow and build our intimacy, to make progress. So far, that's not happening. The next day, we leave at 9 a.m. and drive 4 hours, no music, to the Eastern Shore. I flee to the hotel fitness room the first chance I get. In Chincoteague, we drive by a gym named Hub Muscles. Gay content. I snap a photo. We head to Assateague and drive through the National Wildlife Refuge. In the visitor center, I read about their progress growing the populations of rare birds and squirrels. We take the Lighthouse Trail. The lighthouse is closed due to COVID. In the distance, we spot 2 herds of wild ponies. I take a half-hearted photo. None of these are assignments, so there is no charge. I think of Bruce Boone's entropic poems, how they're held together by the magnetism of desire. The exhilaration of his writing about his lover, this explosion of language floating out from the center, how the erotic sustains in the entropy. I want another assignment, but don't request one from V, who is busy with a residency. Instead, I request 30 minutes of alone time for my family. My request is granted, and I use it to respond to Dodi's assignment. Perched on the small balcony of our hotel room with the door shut behind me, I attempt to write against progress. What can I say? Although my younger brother and I are adult children, my middle-class parents are paying for the whole trip. I can't imagine being able to afford this kind of vacation for 4. My mother made the small request that my brother and I each pay for 1 meal. I charge Thursday's dinner to my credit card. I've just gotten this account down, so it's easy to justify adding more debt. This breaks the seal on my credit card purchases. At the t-shirt factory, I charge 2 tank tops and point out a racist t-shirt to my mom. The shirt depicts a white soldier kneeling to aim his firearm against an American flag backdrop. The caption reads, "This is how we take the knee." My mom nods, whispers she knows. She doesn't want me to be loud about it. When we get home, she'll ask me to shave my mustache off to make my queer appearance more palatable to my bigoted older brother, who would probably buy that t-shirt. I'll say no, absolutely not. I understand I embarrass her. They all embarrass me. Because they embarrass me, I've never brought a lover home. Because I've never brought a lover home, my family has not witnessed me being loved or desired.
who, at turns, modernist, does and does not love him back, and whose last words have the lilt of a hymnal that are not meant to be forgotten. The last words of the novel read, "Inspiration fails with the will to sustain a contradiction. Head by head, no melody, no magician." In a flash, the lines undo the elaborate tapestry of description prior to pages set up for their readers, in which a magician performs a trick in which the head that sits on his neck